And I think we're now going to go to a question from Ukraine.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Daria Kaleniuk. I had Anti-Corruption Action Center from Ukraine. I passed the border a couple of days ago. I'm from Kiev. Most of my family, most of my team members are still in Ukraine, in Kiev, in Lviv. A woman from my team is now in Bila Tserkva, and she is there with 2 kids. And Russian military is over there, and she's so much afraid that she will be shot. Kharkiv, the city where I was studying, was bombarded today, fully, the downtown square. So you're talking about the stoicism of Ukrainian people, but Ukrainian women and Ukrainian children are in deep fear because of bombs and missiles which are going from the sky. And Ukrainian people are desperately asking for the West to protect our sky. We are asking for the no-fly zone. We are saying in response that it will trigger World War III. But what is the alternative, Mr. Prime Minister? To observe how our children are, instead of planes, are protecting NATO from the missiles and bombs? What's the alternative for the no-fly zone? We have planes here, we have air defense system in Poland, in Romania. NATO has this air defense. At least this air defense could shield the Western Ukraine, so that these children with women could come to the border. It's impossible now to cross the border. There are 30 kilometers of lines. Imagine crossing the border with a baby or with 2 children. I'm so glad that Samantha Power is coming here to the border from the Polish side. Let her come to the border from Ukrainian side and see that. Britain guaranteed our security under Budapest Memorandum. So you're coming to Poland. You're not coming to Kiev, Prime Minister. You're not coming to Lviv. Because you are afraid. Because NATO is not willing to defend. Because NATO is afraid of World War III. But it is already started. And these are Ukrainian children who are there taking the hit. You're talking about more sanctions, Prime Minister. But Roman Abramovich is not sanctioned. He's in London. His children are not in the bombardments. His children are there in London. Putin's children are in Netherlands, in Germany, in mansions. Where are all these mansions seized? I don't see that. I see that my family members, that my team members are saying that we are crying. We don't have where to run. Well, this is what is happening, Prime Minister.
Well, thank you very much for your questions, and thank you for getting here today. And I'm glad that you have been able to get here. And look, I just want to say that I'm acutely conscious that there is not enough that we can do as the UK government to help in the way that you want. And I've got to be honest about that. And when you talk about the no-fly zone, as I said to Volodymyr Zelensky, I think a couple of times, unfortunately, the implication of that is that the UK would be engaged in shooting down Russian planes, would be engaged in direct combat with Russia. That's not something that we can do or that we've envisaged. And I think the consequences of that would be truly very, very difficult to control. What we can do is all the things that we are doing already, and providing as much help and support to the Ukrainians as we can. And as I said to you earlier on, the UK was the first European country to offer military assistance. Also doing everything we can to tighten the economic noose around the Putin regime. And we were amongst the very first to put that package together. And I have to tell you, I think that it will work. I think that Vladimir Putin's venture is doomed to fail. And I think that it will be extremely difficult for him to continue on the path that he is on. But in the meantime, as you rightly say, there is going to be a period of suffering for the people of Ukraine, for which Putin and Putin alone is responsible. He's taken a decision that I think many people around the world find absolutely inexplicable as well as inexcusable. And it will take time, I'm afraid, for us to come through this period. All we can do in the meantime is help people like your crew and your family to get out, to get to safety, help them with all the humanitarian support that we can provide, help them to come to the UK, and we certainly will. But I cannot pretend to you that this is going to be something that the UK can fix by military means, and I think it would be wrong of me to do so. But what I will say is that I think that this whole misadventure by Vladimir Putin has raised questions now about the security of Europe and what we do. And I think it was entirely reasonable of Volodymyr Zelensky to ask, for instance, for EU membership. And I think that NATO will have to think much more about some of the ways in which we think about European security in the future. Because clearly, if Putin can attack Ukraine in a way that is unprovoked, a completely innocent country, then that has big implications for the world and for the security of other countries as well. And that's why, amongst other things, the UK is intensifying our support, not just for Poland, but for the Baltic countries and for all NATO's eastern frontier. And if Putin thinks he's going to get less NATO, he's going to push back on NATO as a result of this action, he is going to be gravely disappointed. All that's happening as a result of what he is doing is that he is strengthening the resolve, not just of the Ukrainians, but the resolve of the West as well. And to get back to your fundamental question about why isn't the West actually coming and giving direct military support? Well, basically for the reasons that I've given. But I think you will also accept that the crisis, the tragic crisis of the Ukrainians is moving governments and peoples, think of the Germans, think of the EU, to do things that would hitherto have been unthinkable. And that is a measure of the sympathy that Ukraine is currently evoking around the world. And I have no doubt that that sympathy is going to be so strong and going to grow that people will not rest, as I've said, until this injustice is reversed and Putin is seen, not just fails, but is seen to have failed in Ukraine. And I think the whole international community will work together to ensure that your family are able to live in a sovereign and independent Ukraine. And I'm sorry it's going to take time. I'm sorry it's going to be difficult, and I'm sorry for all the tragedy and suffering that you've experienced. But thank you very, very much for coming today and asking your question. I think everybody here has really appreciated it. Thank you.